how it manifests. Every negative feeling that you have, anytime you feel anything other than complete joy, complete centeredness, complete grounding, lack of frustration, impatience, any kind of even niggly little thought where you're giggling and making fun of somebody, these are all sourced at self-judgment rather than self-love. And we want to get careful once we start becoming aware of this, not to get caught into the trap of judging ourselves for being self-judging. Oh, there, I did it again. I'm so bad, I keep judging myself. That's an easy trap to get into. If you hear any kind of self-judging statement, the first clue is when you're talking negatively about somebody else. And we have to become aware that when we speak of somebody else unkindly, even if it sounds fun or light, or we fool ourselves into saying, I'm just saying, if she wants to be that way or he wants to be that way, but I'm just saying that's how they are, it's a form of judgment. People simply take their own journey at their own time, in their own pace, in their own way. And everybody has a personal journey. And everybody puts all of the obstacles around them from in here so that they can get past their own journey. Who are we to judge if somebody decides to struggle with their IQ, or to have a toxic relationship with their father, or whatever it is that they've chosen that is their manifestation of remembering that they're light? Would we want them to judge us? And we know that they do because we can feel it sometimes. Being around the family at holidays can, for some people, be a really difficult time. And people always say, I get along with friends but not my family. Your family share your DNA. They've shared your life with you. They know deeply all of the most tender and sensitive buttons that you have. And they're going to push them because they're your family. Don't avoid people that push your buttons, thinking that you can escape having your buttons pushed because somebody will always come up and do it for you. If you have a button, somebody somewhere along the line is going to find it. And you can run away from all the people that you think are doing it. That ex-husband, that ex-wife, that bad boss, that rude child, whatever it is, you can move away from them, but I guarantee you, you'll find somebody else that will do it for you. The goal, become buttonless. And you do that by lack of self-judgment. So look at the toxins that are around you, the food that you eat, the environment that you're in, the people that are around you. They reflect the toxic, low vibrational reflection of where you are emotionally that is sourced in self-judgment. During the meditation, some of you I know listen to the words, and I know what it's like when you're in a guided meditation. You get into that restful place and your guides come in and they've got your attention and they take you and you don't hear a word I say, and that's okay. Please don't self-judge because you might not hear all the words. Some of you go off in your own place the minute you check in because your guides really want to talk to you and your angels really want to talk to you. And so for those of you that may not hear those words, when we do that part where I say, put your hands on your chest, it doesn't matter whether it's right or left. You have a giving and a receiving hand. Give yourself love. Really understand what it feels like to like yourself and approve of yourself, to feel worthy, to feel gracious and beautiful and loving and kind towards yourself. I had a realization a couple of weeks ago, and it was a powerful step towards my sense of self-worth. I always talk about how we inherit our blue eyes from our grandfather, and our blonde hair from our mother, and the short fingers or the long fingers or the stature. We inherit all of the physical attributes from our parents. We also inherit their personality traits, their belief systems. And it is not anyone's fault, yours or your parents, that we do this inheriting. And if there's something about your parents that you don't like that's shown up in you, remember, they inherited it from their parents, and from their parents, and from their parents. You can go back on a 15, 20 generation witch hunt to find out what great-great-great-great-grandfather had a foul temper that gave it to all of his descendants, and now you've got a foul temper. I looked at all of my personality aspects. I decided I didn't like certain things about myself, and I could see which ones came from my mother and which ones came from my father. And I had an epiphany, and I decided it is not my fault. I inherited these characteristics, and I'm not going to apologize to anybody that I inherited them. I'm simply going to honor them, accept them, be aware of them, and work through them. It was only when I got to a place of non-self-judgment. And I judged myself for years for having a foul temper. I know that may seem a little unusual to you when you look at me up here, but I have a pretty foul temper, and I can flare up, and I don't have one of those. I inherited this from my mother. It's not her fault. She inherited it from her father, and he got it from his. I can judge myself for having a bad temper. I can allow others to judge me for it, or I can just say, this has been something that got embedded deep into my DNA as a coping mechanism or a reaction when something happened that I didn't like. I didn't willfully or co-creatively or consciously put that in my DNA, but on some level, in some place, I chose this body and this family lineage. So maybe that's my journey, to become aware of it and to start handling things differently. What emotions did you inherit? Look at the temperaments of your parents. Shy, guilt, shame, courageous, willful, stubborn, hot-tempered, easy-tempered. Look at all the parts of your personality and recognize they were just something that you inherited in your DNA. So don't be ashamed of them, don't feel guilty and self-judge, but do be aware. If it got created, and it did get created, it can get discreated. Anything that gets created can get discreated. That's the thing that we have to start recognizing, is just because something is there in front of us doesn't mean we're stuck with it. Doesn't mean we don't have a choice to move beyond it. I've told this story before when I talk about the conscious anatomy and how we can look into our bodies and recognize that illness that gets created, we can discreate that. When Audubon and I moved into our current apartment in Laguna, it has a 35-foot balcony and 2 sliding doors from the living room and the master bedroom. And it was so much fun the first night we were there to create this 360 loop, going from the living room down the hall to the bedroom, back out the balcony. And I was having fun saying we could do this 360 thing, and as I went into the sliding glass door from the living room, my route was cut short, and I, instead of going through the sliding glass door, plowed into a foot-to-ceiling window. And I banged my forehead on a piece of solid glass, bounced back, and it hurt for hours. I'm surprised I didn't get a bruise. I did Reiki on it right away. But every time I told the story, the pain in my forehead got recreated. Every time I imagined the incident, and I told the story a couple of dozen times because it was funny, every time I repeated the story, I could see myself imagining bumping my head into the glass, and every time I did, it's even happening now. As I'm telling it again, I can feel this circle of pain on my forehead. My imagination is creating the pain. I'm conscious of it. What pain are we creating through our imagination that we're not conscious of? If I can create pain on my forehead by imagining it, I can certainly discreate it by imagining it gone. And so by going in there and inventorying what's in our subconscious that we're creating without ourselves even realizing it, we create the pain by our own imagination. And we're creating it unconsciously. And so we've got to get conscious. And this word is the buzzword of all the New Age and the spirituality and the metaphysics, consciousness. And people are using it. And do we understand the depths of its meaning? Becoming consciously aware of our thoughts, our feelings, our beliefs, and what we create in front of us. I used to carry a little pink ball that said, "I create my reality." And it was my reminder, I think it's still on my desk, that if I were to take this ball and I were to assign it a thought, and then I throw that ball out there right in front of me, at some point in time I'm going to come across that ball. It's going to be in my path. When you create a thought and it becomes an imagination, at some point in time in your path you will come across the reality of what it is that your thought created. And even though you may have forgotten that thought because it was a while ago, or you didn't realize you created it, and so you come across this reality and it looks like something has happened upon you. And we're shocked and we're surprised and we're aghast and we don't like it. And we actually don't realize that that came from us, of our own creation. Owning this is one of the most powerful things that you can do. It can also be scary. And there's also the built-in mechanism of we're afraid to look inside there because we might not be pleased with what we see. That's the form of self-judgment. I can promise you this, when you look inside, it will never, ever be as bad as you're afraid that it is. And even if you have to face some of the most things that you just cringe when you think that you did, or said, or behaved in a certain way, forgive yourself. You did the best that you could on that day, in that circumstance, with the tools that you had in that moment. We all get out of bed every day wanting to put our best foot forward. No one gets out of bed every morning and says, "I'm not going to try to be a nice person today. I'm not going to employ all of my best tools. Today I'm going to be stupid. Today I'm going to forget everything I learned in kindergarten." We don't do that. We all got out of bed every day, and in our own way, we put our best foot forward. Know that that's enough. You're good enough. You're kind enough. You're smart enough. You're sweet enough. You've done everything that you can with the tools that you have. If you want it to be better, give yourself better tools. And don't self-judge that you didn't have the tools. Celebrate that you became aware that you wanted something better, that you believe it's possible, that there are tools to make it happen, that they're accessible to you, that you can have them, employ them, and once you have them and employ them, you'll never not go without them. Once you have a tool, once you've built a coping mechanism, you don't go back to the old ways. Once a mind is expanded, it never goes back to its original size. You have this ability to improve and create and expand and explore, and every day is a gift. Every day that you get a little bit further in that journey you've become a better person, a happier person. And you are the only person that you're accountable to. Because you are the person who knows what you need to do and how and why and when and if. To thine own self be true. People repeat that phrase from Shakespeare, but really think about how deep that is. You only have your own self to be true to. If you're true to yourself, you can't help but be true to others. If you're kind to yourself, it is automatic that you're kind to others. If you speak to yourself respectfully and lovingly, it's how you'll talk to others. If you hear or see or experience yourself behaving in a way that you don't like, use that as a gauge to see what you have yet to work on. And please don't punish yourself for where you are in your journey. If you've done a certain amount of work and you have more to go, celebrate that you can look back and see what you've done and that you're on your journey to go. But don't judge yourself for being at station 2 when somebody else, you deem them to be at station 8. It's the ego that compares. And you might look around and say, well, that person takes care of their body better, or this person has a more successful business, or this person has more style and grace, and this person has more college education than me. Just because in one particular factor they put energy in an area that you chose not to, there are areas that you chose to put energy that they may not have. On the way in this morning, there's trails along the Laguna Beach Canyon, and I saw a couple that pulled their horses out there, and I thought, my goodness, what a tremendous effort to buy those horses, keep them in veterinary, oats, grooming, stables, the trailer, the clothing, going and getting them in the trailer, bringing them to the canyon, putting the saddles on them, all for a 1-hour ride. And I thought, that isn't something that would be important to me, all that energy that would go into a 1-hour ride, but it's important to them. That's what they love, and so that's what they put their energy into. Not everybody would do what I do. I'm here 6 days a week, putting my energy into the temple, so that you can be here for 1 hour. This is what I choose to do. What you choose is personal to you. It's individual to you. It's private to you. It's your perfection. It's your life. One of the hardest things parents do, are to let their children live their own lives. And to let your neighbors live their own lives. Let your friends live their own lives. Because they deserve it. Let's breathe into this. Relax your shoulders. I'm going to call in your guides, your guardian angels, any ascended masters, starseed families, elementals, deceased loved ones, anyone, any energy out there that for your highest and best good has a message for you right here and right now about the most important thing that you could do to celebrate your life. Feel their presence coming in. Feel them joining you. It doesn't matter if you know who they are or not. Just embrace the warm feeling. Feel loving arms around you. Feel your heart opening up. Right now, right here, this is about you. Not your friends, not your family, not your parents, not your children or your neighbors, or your teachers or your students, your spouses, or roommates. This right here, right now, is about you. Feel the loving energy around you. in this moment, ask for guidance. Something to be revealed to you that is your next celebration, your next revelation, your next area of conscious awareness, the next part of you that will evolve and step into a higher vibration. Ask them now to help you see, hear, feel, and know what that is for you. It may seem like something irrelevant at the moment. If you get an idea in your head or a feeling that almost seems trivial, I'm being asked to ask you not to discard it, but to take it, realize it has some significance. Even they're saying if it seems very random, almost comical, almost impossible to believe, whatever came into your mind is the thing that is going to be the little breadcrumb trail for you to follow. Pause and be with it. And if it is unclear to you, simply say, I wonder what that is. I'm willing to see what that might be. I'm willing to understand things differently. I'm willing to know new things. I'm willing to see things differently. As you visualize looking down at your feet, see yourself taking a step in a direction that is for your own highest and best good. Take as small a step as you feel comfortable. Or take a large step. Or run if you choose. Or hop in a fast sports car. Whatever speed and distance and comfort aligns with you individually is what is perfect for you. Avoid thinking of those around you and comparing yourself to them. Avoid feeling you are being compared by them. The entire nature of everything we do here at the Temple of Light, that Temple of Light that is within your heart, is about honoring and cherishing the personalized individual journey that each of us take. We can do it together with friends, but none of us are on the exact same journey. And we have a divine right and responsibility to honor our own personal journey. Feeling the love of the angels around you, the wisdom of your guides, the devotion of both, the pure love and light of the Ascended Masters that come in to teach us and show us their ways. We open our hearts and our minds to the higher teachings. Can we develop at paces, see, hear, and know things we never thought possible? Beyond our imagination, do we have access to the wisdom and the knowledge of the universe? Bringing that in as truth. Feel your heart warm. Feel heat around your heart as your love of self expands, deepens, becomes more profound, more gentle, more sincere, more graceful, more present. Feel the warmth in your heart as you start to trust yourself and see yourself as a work in progress of perfection. Stay with this energy as long as is appropriate for you. Take as long as you like. Sitting like that. Cass. When we continue to say phrases like, I'm willing to see this differently, I'm willing to see what I need to do, I'm willing to know I can do this gracefully and easily. When you make empowering statements like that, it melts away the ego's objections. Because the ego can't argue with such an open-ended affirmation. If you say, I'm going to do this, the ego can argue and say, no, you can't. But when you say, I'm willing to do this, I'm willing to explore this, you take away the egoic gauntlet that stands in front of you. And then it opens up easily. You can learn things very fast and very easy and very graceful. Alyssa and Tanya and I have come up with a mantra that we're using now as everything that we do here at the temple. Quality, beauty, and grace. And we're taking that into our lives, into how we work, into how we structure things, into the decisions that we make, the programs we create, and the way that we communicate. Quality, beauty, and grace. Grace means easy, fluid. Beauty just makes us smile, and it opens our heart. And quality is integrity, and with refinement. Quality, beauty, and grace. Even as we just keep repeating those words, the minute we get confused about something, we draw back and say quality, beauty, and grace. And all of a sudden it sets the intention on how we're going to do something. Now use that phrase if you resonate with it. Anytime there's something in your life, say, how can I approach this with quality, beauty, and grace? And ask your guides and your guardian angels to show you whatever you need to do. See whatever you need to see. Learn whatever you need to learn. With quality, beauty, and grace. And whistle a happy tune. Because it is fun. When you do it with quality, beauty, and grace, it turns into something really easy and really fun. It doesn't have to be a struggle. The moment I made that transition and really understood how my excess weight was a manifestation of my self-judgment, my thinking shifted, and all of a sudden my guide said, plant food diet. And although I had a little bit of turkey over Thanksgiving, I've been plant food now since Wednesday. And that's gluten-free, sugar-free, meat-free, all of that. I've been in plant food, which is nuts, fruits, vegetables, lentils. My thinking is so much clearer. And I'm already feeling more energized. But it wasn't that I said, oh, I'm going to do this, and created a battle cry that I'm going to do this. The minute I got out of self-judgment, all of a sudden, having a taste for that seemed natural because it was a higher vibrational choice that got manifested by getting out of self-judgment. And all of a sudden I looked at the foods I was eating and I was simply indifferent to them. It wasn't like, I'm not going to eat that, I promised myself. It wasn't one of those deprivations and disciplines. It was simply indifference. And whatever the bane of your existence is, whatever your nemesis is, you know what that is. Get out of self-judgment of it, and then see it shift and change. Get into self-love. Do we have giving envelopes and chairs? Are they around anywhere?
Yeah, they're in there.
Oh, thank you. If you could take it.
That last
There's a few over there. We have.
The chairs need to be restocked.
We really miss Seth when he's not here. We have had some wonderful events at the temple recently, currently, and coming up in our future.